Hello. I'm Rachel. Can you hear?
You might have to talk right into it.
Sorry. I was diagnosed on New Year's Eve in 2007. Went to the doctors initially with depression, apologies to the men, but problems with periods. I started to lactate and I wasn't pregnant. So I went to the doctors. Fortunately, my doctor was really on the ball and said, I'm going to send you for an MRI, but there'll be nothing because it's really rare what I'm looking for. You'll be fine. Sent me to the MRI and it was exactly what he was looking for. There it was. As you said, we walked into the consultant after the MRI and all I heard was, you've got a tumour in your head. Didn't hear anything else. Fortunately, my husband had the foresight to ask the consultant if he could record the conversation on his phone. So that's an idea in the future, anyone, because usually they're fine about it, and so we've got the recording of the conversation, and when you listen back, it's actually not as bad as you think it's going to be. But all I heard was, you've got a tumour in your head. But anyway, what I was going to talk to you about, interestingly, there's no medical evidence in this. This is all family research. I've had a genetic test which I had for my daughter, which shows I'm not carrying the gene, but we think my grandma was, my great-grandma was. The baby is my maternal grandmother. Obviously the lady whose lap she sat on is my great-grandmother. If you look at her fingers, her wedding ring there, and her jawline, we think there's strong evidence that she was possibly acromegaly. She had brittle bone disease, she was always breaking her bones. There's family stories that when she was pregnant, she always had problems with her eyesight. Her eyesight went funny when she was pregnant. She had problems with her pregnancies. Have you got a death certificate on there? She was 58 years old when she died, and she had an enlarged heart, which is also another factor. And down the whole family line, we've got really dodgy genetics. So that's Matilda. She had heart failure and an enlarged heart, varicose veins, fibroids, lantern jaw. Pregnancy affected her eyesight. Her daughter was a dwarf. Her other daughter was over 6 foot tall. Her... I'm shaking. I'm having an adrenaline. So her daughter, yeah, and her grandson had Down syndrome, although I mean that's a whole different gene pool, but it's still genetic. And her, my nan's brother died of a brain hemorrhage. So there's real dodgy brain genetic stuff down my maternal line. But like I said, I've had the genetic test. Mine's come back that I don't carry the gene, so fortunately my daughter's fine. My consultant's bloody lovely. She's really posh, she's quite old. She comes running down the stairs with this piece of paper in the middle of Churchill in Oxford going, it's here, it's fine, you don't carry the gene, running down the stairs showing me. Because all we were worried about was whether I was going to end up passing this on to Sasha. I met Dan when I was very first diagnosed and advised to have a colonoscopy. I went online and said, I've got this thing in my head, why do they want to do I really need to have this done? And Dan was the man who said it really is a good idea. And it's not very pleasant, but it's a good idea to do it. That was 10 years ago. This is the first time I've actually met him in person. But we talk a lot online. You probably don't realise the great help you've been to me and lots of other people, to be fair. I think we are now at an advantage that we are further down the line. I'm talking to people that are only just being diagnosed. It is bloody scary. I'm at the point now, we're all adults. I apologise, Archie, I'm sure you're hearing this all the time. I'm at the point now, I have days where this really pisses me off, and I get really fed up with it, but I know I can live with it. It is incurable, it is manageable. There are people that are in much worse positions than I am. I'm fortunate, don't tell him, but my husband's a very good support. And I've got a good family support around me, which helps. But for those of you that are newly diagnosed, as frightening as it is, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It just takes us longer to get there than it probably does for a lot of other people, I think. So that's it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Just a little bit about me. I have to credit Dan with doing this for me, don't I? This presentation, but yeah, mother, grandmother, nurse, been nurse for 40 years, daughter, sister, ex-wife and partner. So obviously, you know, like everybody else, lots of life things going on that I didn't notice symptoms perhaps for years. And Acromegaly. Yeah, just little things I now look back and talking to somebody earlier, I can remember about playing badminton and things over the years and that were signs of it. Well, that's a picture of a friend of party in the park type thing. That seems like years ago, it's 15 years ago, but that's when they reckon the tumour was starting around about then. And that's the photographs of that year, the last ones I'm reasonably happy with, I think look like me. And my friend hasn't changed. I asked her permission for this photo yesterday and she said she thinks she's got a few more wrinkles, but otherwise she hasn't changed. So I was diagnosed in 2014. There's another picture coming up, I'll tell you why I went to the doctor's. Oh, shall I go forward and back?
Okay.
That one. I was on holiday, that's my ex-partner for 13. He was on dialysis for 13 years, and I'd learned over the years to walk slowly because he had very a lot of fatigue and problems. And so, but this holiday, have I done it? Yeah. It was reversed. It was me that couldn't get to breakfast in the morning. He'd be off down, and I'd be trying to get going and very stiff. And throughout the 2-week holiday, hang on, there's something up with me. It just all crescendoed then, really. I sold my house, downsized, last child left, moved out, so no mortgage, got working back hands-on nursing in a hospice, job I've wanted to do for years, and I should have been skipping around, and I wasn't. And that was basically it. I had sciatica, carpal tunnel in both hands. I'd had that for a few years, but just like some nurses are as well, you just sweep it under the carpet, bought splint and wore it at night time, and just thought it's because I'm getting older. Or I just went to the GP and said that I should be skipping around. Something wrong with me, please check my thyroid, check everything. Thankfully, so I'd moved house and it was a new GP, and he took one look at me and showed me fingers and then said about my hands, and I hadn't noticed, but I got momentarily engaged about 2006, and he turned up with this ring that fit, and I said, "How'd you know?" And he said, "Well, I knew you had chubby fingers." And I always thought I did. I thought it was a lifelong thing. Didn't realise that over the last 10, 12 years they got bigger. And this GP was only there for 6 months. Oh, I'm so fortunate, because he'd done neurosurgery in America, so he knew what he was looking for. He said, "Stick your tongue out, and what about shoes if they got tight?" And she both got lower, but I was a smoker for many years, so I put that down to smoking. So lots of excuses I could make for everything. Anyway, he did the tests and everything. I phoned up and all the results were normal. Another GP asked to see me for results, so I went in. And the insulin growth factor came back, and she didn't have a clue what it was for. So maybe go and sit in the waiting room while she waited until he was free to ask him. So he came out and told her, who then told me he got acromegaly. So she said, no, hold on. He said, you don't want that on your record till you've been fully investigated. Anyway, I was referred, 29th September was my first endocrinologist appointment. She sent me for glucose tolerance test with growth hormone, colonoscopy, which didn't happen for a couple of years, but an urgent MRI. Then 18th of December, so it was in November I went to Charing Cross, my first appointment, and they said they'd get me in within a couple of weeks. I think because all the symptoms then over the years had just come to such a crescendo, really. didn't have a pre-op day or anything, which I was talking to somebody earlier who's got their op coming up. That didn't really help. But thankfully, there was another patient he's got productinoma, and that's his third operation. And while we were waiting for the 10 hours for a bed, he reassured me about a lot of what was going to be happening. Things that did surprise me in hospital was I had a middle nurse come up as well, and she would come and talk to me every day, and I thought, it's because I'm a nurse. She just says, come and be nice to another nurse. Not realising actually the seriousness that we, and told we all put on the cancer registry, so that's why they come and see us in hospital. I was given no advice post-op what to do going home at all. The Pituitary Foundation, that's where I got the advice from. And I don't know about any of you, but I still do if I sneeze, I cough sneeze. I've changed my brain now. If I sneeze, I've got to cover my mouth. But, and I could tell you, if you're a nurse, those are things in hospital that was like, God, shivering, having a catheter for the first time and things like that. And lots of things help me as being a nurse as well, I think, and for patients going for MRIs as well, and what this is like when you're being clipped in and, oops, you keep going there. Oh, he's staying in that photo, isn't he? So post-op, a few problems post-op. I came out day before Christmas Eve, a bit of a traumatic journey home back from London, and anyway, it's not a good journey. Very, very nauseous. Went to the GP the next morning rather than phone up, just wanted an antiemetic, was sent to A&E because the GP's far too busy, it's Christmas Eve. So I spent hours in A&E, who did my bloods and that as well, because all seemed very dramatic with the tap on the nose. So they did bloods. 4 hours later I got an antiemetic and got home, we'll phone you back. But my sodium had gone down to 126 and he didn't tell me, so I spent the next 2 days hallucinating, not knowing I was. And there were like these big footballs coming in, I was dodging on the one sofa and saying to my partner at the time, would you get that one? And kind of like, when I came round a couple of days later and I thought, hang on, something's big going on here. So I phoned the hospital and they said, get you out to Charing Cross, that's dangerously low. And Charing Cross said, no, you go back to the local A&E, it's serious, they need to treat you here and now. But somehow, thankfully, so it does self-resolve because it had resolved. I was back to 136 on the Sunday and reasonably sane again. Sinusitis. I think a lot of people get sinusitis, but interesting to hear about ENT, because ENT weren't involved at all in Charing Cross. And when I got home, real trouble with crustiness. I'll tell you some of the kind of nursery tricks I tried to use to just so I could breathe and through my nose, Gelinets and things like that, but you don't need to know. GP suggested steam inhalations. Eventually I got antibiotics. I kept getting through to Charing Cross, and somebody did get back to me and said, go and get some antibiotics. It's obviously sinusitis, but and dry mouth, I found that really troublesome. So I brought some saliva spray, which did help. But not realising I did have sleep apnea, and I had sleep apnea probably for years before. My children say how I've been awake, a lot for years, getting up in the middle of the night and everything, not realising. And in hospital I was told, because I was scared the one time about falling asleep because this awful noise in my head. I think it's in my head somewhere. They said, it's huge, you're breathing. And it's a bit scary, but I eventually had a sleep study done the following year, and I've got a CPAP machine, which comes everywhere with me. But it did take me a year or so to get, again, I say on the last slide, speaking up for yourself, I didn't speak, I just accepted it, had the full mask, still only slept an hour or 2 at night, and went back about several visits back, and now I've got the nasal mask, and wow, it's so much better. I still quite often wake up after a couple of hours, but I get what I think is decent sleep now. Colonoscopies, as mentioned, I was one of them. I eventually got those, started in March 15, I had 6. And I was going for the UK record, and I think the holder is in the room, but I won't say who it is. I got 39, but somebody else in the UK, I think, got 56 polyps removed. So, there's a record to be had. And I don't know, I mean, part of it, we wonder, perhaps my father, perhaps there's a family tendency, and because of acromegaly, it was just, went mad. But again, speak up, because I was at one hospital, and they were talking about doing a hemicolectomy. Taking half bowel away, perhaps having a colostomy for a while. You can't keep going through all of this. So I got transferred to the hospital. Now, most of my treatment is in one hospital, and they just did, well, they took the final ones out, and I actually haven't had a colonoscopy this year. In fact, next year, but spinal foot changes. They're just watching the one on my spine, really. Interestingly, because I'm now hydrocortisone dependent, the orthopaedic consultant said he would normally give a steroid injection because I've got severe end plate changes, L3 and 4, but because I'm on steroids, well, and to be honest, I was so tired. At the time I didn't say to him, I'm on steroids because my body doesn't produce cortisol, it's not extra steroids to treat something. And that's where he found out, because of the foot problem, I was low on vitamin D, because I think lots of us are, aren't they? And that made a difference to me. I brought this vitamin D and just had double dose, and that helped the sleep. Teeth. My post-op, immediately post-op really, my teeth started getting mobile. I thought it was something to do with the operation and tubing or whatever. But looking at some photographs, how I have from that one really, hopefully I've changed a bit. My nose has gone down and my jaw's changed a bit. But my teeth have gone loose. And they're, I could wiggle them out like, children wiggle out there. So I now go to St George's. Well, this week they've made it 6 months, but it's been weekly for a few months. And I've got a splint, Michelin splint called I wear at night, just to hold on to my teeth as long as I can. Work-wise, I was off for 8 months. Did a phased return. First of all, just 1 4-hour shift. My shift's normally 8 hours long, and then I couldn't go back to full time, so I do 4 shifts now. Not on the trot. I just had occupational health again last week, and was saying just 3 because I still haven't got that balance where I love my job and I want to work, but if I do 3 days, then I'm on the sofa for 1 day at least, and you've got to get something outside of it and have some life as well. But they do, and I apologise to the speakers this morning, my colleagues do notice when I start yawning, I've got to get behind the cortisone now quick, and everybody else starts yawning. But it's amazing how, gets you back. That photograph's post-op, and I just, 6 months post-op, and I just Mrs. Weeble now, I think. But I've got to stick with it. They started me, now this year I've basically started some treatment again, because last year there were lots of different things going on, and I was just coping with things. This year, in January and February, I had sinusitis, I had 3 wee infections, 4 lots of antibiotics. I had shingles without knowing it, they'd gone past the treatment stage and things, and I was just so low. And so I spoke to the specialist nurse, and she said, right, we're going to start you. But where I am, they have to follow the NICE guidelines, so I had to do carboganin first. So I did that for about 2 months. It didn't agree with me. It didn't have an effect. And then she said, no, that's fine. Just go through it and then we'll get you on what we want you to be on. So last month I started lanreotide autogel. First injection, the second one's next week. But thanks to all of you that have commented, because I said to her, so I've got Imodium at the ready, because I've been warned, And she said, no, it's at the end of the month. Well, actually, no, I thought it was going to be it. Anyway, as you all said, the first 48 hours is... But I managed to work. I mean, a couple of times I've read out a report and then took another. But I know for this month, I will take 2 for those 2 days. So thank you, those that have given the clue there. And she's very hopeful. They measured my fingers last month and weighed me, and she's very hopeful it's going to have an effect. So we shall see. Continue with the teeth splint. CPAP, of course, at night. I'm hopeful if this does work, that the soft tissue swellings I've got here, and it's the vocal cords, isn't it, that hopefully that'll go down, and it'd be lovely to get rid of the CPAP in the future. and this Michelin splint I wear at night time. But she said that might make it worse if my jaw goes down again. And next year I've got good old colonoscopy coming up again. Well, that one is 2013. Still, this is before diagnosis, but you can see the nose and the jaw and everything. And that's probably, well, that's a year before diagnosis. That's the first time I've been off sick for 6 weeks and post-viral fatigue. And then they put question mark on sick notes, carpal tunnel, and it was like, you know, was I swinging the lead? But so what I've learned is know your tests, really. I had the first for diagnosis, and because they wanted me to have my op quite quickly, it was delayed a bit because the first growth hormone suppression test, they didn't take growth hormone at all. They just did a glucose tolerance test. The first MRI, which they put as an emergent MRI, and it was on a Sunday, and I said, well, what about this contrast? Well, we don't do contrast just because they asked for it. So Charing Cross couldn't use that. I had to have another MRI with contrast. I'm still waiting for a DEXA scan, and I'm going to keep nagging for that. Although the consultant said he's never known anybody with acromegaly have bone problems, but I'm still pushing. Ultrasound of my gallbladder, because I understand you need that before you start the injections anyway. And I will have my MRI next year. But interestingly, each one I've had, I've got more nervous about. And so I said next time I might have ask for some Valium or something beforehand. And the nurse told me, if you really can't cope with lying in there and getting it put on you, the option is London Zoo. Really? This is on the telephone. When I went to the next clinic appointment, I said, really? Were you joking? Lying up with the elephants and the giraffes and the... Well, I don't know why I pick those animals, but I wonder. No, that's true. The only stand-up one in the country, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, it's London Zoo. So we have that option, evidently.
But you get to go to the zoo afterwards.
Yeah, I don't really get a free pass to the day at the zoo, I don't know, but yeah. Quite an eye-opener. Keep records. I have, and because I've been doing this last couple of days, it was really good to look at, especially the post-op records and everything. And the Future Foundation, you can buy this thing from them. I already done one, so I'm on book 2. But it is, I don't know, very helpful to look back, especially if you're seeing different medical disciplines. And I've also got, just with the here and now, each appointment I go to, I write, I've got antibiotics for sinusitis or whatever, because it's amazing, you know, how complicated it can all get, especially if it's about yourself. It's sometimes easier to remember about other people than yourself. Stand up for yourself. I'm learning now to speak up and stand up and say, right, you know, this is what I need. And Alison at the Pituitary Foundation has been really good. Where did I put my quote? Well,
It was sad.
it was on a piece of paper, wasn't it? Am I? Not trust me. In that place. She around by us as well, and patients with excuse me, pituitary adenomas are treated. They said we're on the cancer registry, so we are allowed to go to St Luke's, the local cancer hospital, and go to the complementary therapy thing as well, like their patients. And so my op buddy and I have both been there. I'll probably take more advantage of it, but where you can have therapies and counselling, so using that as well. Alison, yeah, one of the quotes early, just after the op, January 15 really, she's been a wonderful help over time. Great for having another one because it's not easy to get through to her nowadays. And she said to me, stop pushing, be kind to yourself. Chill, your hormones are all over the place. Let the rest of the world hang. It takes a wee while for growth hormone to fall, which is, you know, yeah. Like my aims, that are to raise awareness anywhere I can. At work we have GP students from Holland or sometimes locally that are on placements in the hospice. So quite often I will give them, just sit down and give them my early symptoms that I first went to GP with, and then the next time see if they can diagnose or whatever, and give, every time I go to clinic I get another handful of these Charity Foundation leaflets that they can take away, because if one person can be diagnosed before 15, 16 years and so much damage, brilliant. And like I said, the orthopaedic surgeon said, I said, have you heard of acromegaly? And he said, well, yeah, 30 years ago in his exams, which a lot of people have said the same. So like Dan, you were diagnosed through that, weren't you? I went to St George's when I had my appointment this week, and I put myself forward to be a patient for them to hopefully diagnose. And have fun, basically. The future's there. Working on social activity, trying to sort out fatigue, so that actually it can work and play, and have more play and have some fun. And start this weekend, fun to be had.
Brilliant.
Thank you.